a very special roundtable event with some of the experts in the cat world.
You guys, we were already 1 minute late because we were just sitting in the back chatting away. So forgive us for being a little bit late. But you guys, we're so happy to have Julianne Thorne, Pam Russell, Dr. Katie Woodley back today to talk about a really, really important topic.
And popular topic.
It is.
That all of us cat parents deal with at some point, right?
It does, yeah. And today we're doing something a little special as our dear Julianne Thorne from Naturally Cats will be moderating today's discussion.
Yay, I'm doing a takeover, peeps. So we thought we would mix it up because I know, as we were saying before we went live, that we've all experienced inappropriate elimination. And I know that for Jay and Adrienne, it's been quite recent that they've been going through this. So I thought it would be lovely for us to hear a little of their story, ask them a couple of questions. So I'm going to kick off with you two. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on with your experience this time round, and then we'll talk to Katie and Pam so we can hear about everybody's experience of this really sad experience, really.
It's sad. It's definitely sad for us, right? It's not necessarily sad for our cats unless this is a health issue, right? So as we were just saying before we came on live, anytime that this has happened in the past, especially with urination, when one of our cats like Pooh Bear would pee outside the box, it was usually a sign to us that he had a urinary issue, right? And that's number one that we always want to check if your cat suddenly starts going outside the box. And so we were always able to detect that and correct that really quickly. This time
was
a bit different.
Surprise, right? And there were a number of things, and I think it's really good for all of us humans to understand the complexity of cats, them emotionally, and what goes into it. So initially, I'll just kind of truncate it as much as I can. Initially, I think what we did was we missed a stray cat on the outside that was marking outside. I remember going back to Instagram stories and looking to see when we posted, we're like, what's this on our coffee mugs? It looks like cat pee. And sure enough, it was. There were no behavioral issues. There was nothing. And we posted it to stories like, this is weird.
Wow.
Like cat pee that ended on my... And then we had, shortly thereafter, a few days, then we had a redirected aggression situation that horrified all of us. We had to separate our cats, all of that. Then we had a situation where our energy was very heightened. We were dealing with something not to do with even the cat situation, but certainly dealing with an issue that was causing...
personal problem.
Right. A lot of stress. And so this marking thing really took off.
So the weeing thing happened before, like, you had any of the signs of anything else. You had the weeing and then the behavior, the redirected aggression.
Right. So this is what's really interesting is that in this case, there are multiple things that we can pull from as far as like what is causing suspect that has caused. And it's been a lot of changes. We went to CatCon. I went out of town to Florida. There's, we went through that emotional heightened event, stressful event. And then there was a cat spraying in the backyard. So it's like, a lot of times we think as cat parents that there's just going to be one thing, right? There's just one thing. And in the past, it's always been one thing for us. Why your cat's going outside the box? Maybe it's because, Pooh Bear used to poop in front of the front door every time we came home from a vacation, but it was like that's what he does. And he's just marking the territory. Don't leave again. This is my, and so there's always like a one thing in the past. And this has been a big learning experience for us because it's not just one thing.
And I want to give a shout out to Pam Russell. Love you so much. Who's been a great resource for us as we've gone through this with some energy cleansing, things of that nature. Cat Behavior Alliance. You guys, we have so many beautiful resources. Feline behaviorists are so underutilized. What a great helped us. Karen Denby Smith, animal communication. I mean, it was amazing to go through something that we've really not experienced before, which is really frustrating because not only do we recognize the cats are doing this because their scent brings them comfort, so something is bothering them, right? Their health, they were healthy. Yes, you want to make sure that they're healthy. Everyone's healthy, but this is happening. So we have really this pool of these tools in our toolbox now: communicators, behaviorists, energy cleansers, kinesiology. I mean, so many things that have really kind of helped us hone in on solutions. And it is a journey. It's not like, oh, we fixed this, or we sprayed that, or we
No, we go like 3 days and we're like, we have been 3 days. We're good. And then something happens and we can't necessarily detect it every time. This last time, it was very interesting that Adrian detected it because of a statue, a cat statue, or I don't know if you call it a statue.
It's a little silhouette, like a little, it's like a little stick figure you put in your figure, you put in your garden of a little black cat that if you look outside, it looks just like Friday's sitting out there.
Yeah.
Now, compound that with the fact that we've seen a black cat around our backyard. We found spray spots that when we hosed them down and did the whole enzymatic cleaner down there, it smelled so strong. So our babies were smelling that. And not even thinking about it, there's this black cat that's been in the garden for months, but they smell something and now they're extra vigilant and they're sitting there looking at this cat. And we never even thought about it.
No. But we've removed it, and now we're what? Maybe 10 days.
Actually, it was. Well, you came home from Florida,
and they peed in my suitcase,
and it was Monday. It was Halloween. So since Halloween, but it was Friday, and
yeah.
So you've had nearly just over about a week, but like you said, you are still hyper vigilant, working and keeping an eye on everyone, because I mean we've all got multi-cat homes. We don't have as many as you guys do, but when you've got one who is sharing their emotions, sharing their current state, it's going to impact the others, right? And not just the cats, but the humans and things in the home as well. So thank you for sharing with us, Dr. Katie. I'm just going to pass it over to you a little. We were talking about sharing stories before we started, and just when Jay mentioned that she had a bit of an accident from one of the cats in her suitcase when she came home. What have you experienced with inappropriate elimination, or should I say you and your husband?
Yes. So currently with our 3 black cats, we have not had this issue, knock on wood. Previously with our other 2 cats, when we lived in New Zealand, my husband would go back and forth on deployments quite a bit. And one of our male cats was very, he would poop in his shoes or like his suitcase in the closet if we left it open when he would come home. So that was always exciting. And I think too, looking back at probably the response was probably not the most appropriate response in terms of managing the stress, of course, getting upset with a cat, not the best way to respond to that. Now, fast forward a few years, when we first moved back to the States, our female tortoiseshell, Callie, our house was wrecked. So we had a really bad inappropriate urination problem with her. And we ended up, when we sold to move up to where we are now, we've been here for quite a few years. We ended up just replacing all the carpeting. And it was like, wow, this was really, and I could smell it also too. It's one of those where it's just like, but the other thing that we found out with her, this was at the beginning of my early stages of my vet career. And so we actually tried fluoxetine with her. So we actually used a calming medication. And I absolutely, because this is what we're taught in vet school. This is how we manage it. You just you numb them, you take away that, and they just sit there. And she just sat there like a zombie. And it didn't change anything. She just was a zombie peeing all over the place. And, she had no personality. And obviously now I treat it very, very differently. But we also had the problem where I came home one day from work and there was a cat staring at her in one of our basement windows. And so similar situation where we had a cat coming into our yard and knowing that, obviously closing those blinds and, creating a different type of environment for her to help protect her. I can't control the cats coming in. But it was definitely a learning experience for us. And, we're very aware now with the 3 cats and making sure that we're, managing the environment, the stress levels, and all of that, because their personalities are very different. And we brought in a 3rd very dominant cat. We didn't expect to bring him in last year, actually around this time. And he changed all the dynamics. And so we had to modify our environment, make sure that, our stressy kitty that's a senior, that she had places to go to and safe places and high places and, low places for him, and a lot more environmental enrichment, and also being more aware that we need to play with him more than what we were currently doing. So we had to modify a lot of different things and think about what was happening and really monitor their behaviors and their personalities and address that too in our household, because going from 2 to 3 cats is very different. I mean, it's a lot. And, you know, I've always had 2 cats. And they had a very interesting relationship, a very like love-hate relationship. And I think that's something too, where, you know, that's very important to be aware of, because a lot of this comes down to, you know, a stress response. And then it can turn into this vicious cycle where, especially, you know, the cystitis and the inflammation and the urinary tract inflammation usually is what it is, not necessarily infections. And it just keeps, you know, perpetuating itself. And if we don't know how to break that cycle, so I love that Jay and Adrian shared like these additional resources outside of a veterinarian. Yes, make sure we're ruling out pain, we're ruling out, you know, a medical health condition, very, very important. But a lot of times veterinarians are not equipped with the tools and the knowledge to break through a really hard behavioral situation like this. So it's really good to have a team on hand to help manage that and understand that that's multifactorial, and we have to investigate and like figure out where are things going wrong and how can we support our cats in the situation.
I think you're absolutely right. And you mentioned a point about the environment enrichment. It's not just, you know, having scratching posts and high places isn't just to, you know, because cats like them. We've got to be aware of their environment, because their environment supports their stress levels, as do ours. You know, if we're in a messy house, you know, you get stressed in your head, don't you? Your emotions are affected. And it's just to say, what did I say that's funny then? Continue smiling. What?
What are you giggling about, Pam?
Because you like looked at Jay like messy house.
Yeah, that is exactly right.
She knows you two so well.
You're so right. Yes, continue.
Busted, you two. I've lost my train of thought now. So yes, environment enrichment is really important. And as Dr. Katie said, you know, getting a vet check is helpful. You need to make sure there isn't a physical issue going on. But unfortunately, I've had the experience, as I'm sure, Pam, you have as well, where you have people, you know, clients come to you to support their cats and their vets are offering medication if there's not a medical issue. And you know, unfortunately, they don't have the behavior experience, and that's not their realm. That's not their field, right? I don't have vet experience. So, you know, everybody's got their unique field that they can support your cat with. And I just also want to, before I come to you, Pam, mention about, we were all chuckling a minute ago about, you know, pooping in the shoes. Like, isn't it kind of funny? But like from a cat's perspective, that cat, you know, clearly not happy. Do you know what I mean? Like and I know that we do need to find the humor in these situations, because our energy, oh my goodness, impacts our fur baby so much. So if we're going to laugh rather than cry and break down or shout at the cat, like, you know, go for a bit of laughter and then find out, what can I do next? You know, what can I do to support them? Because it's, you know, cats are inherently clean animals, right? They don't do this. I'm just going to say this now. They don't do it to spite us. That is not the way they work. They don't have that mental capacity to react that way to us. You know, I don't know about whether, and let's go to Pam. What do you think about that? Do you agree?
I do agree. I think they're misunderstood. You know, we try to put our own human experiences and assumptions based on how we would respond. We're trying to humanize them, and you know, that's normal that people do that, because we've humanized our pets over the last 10, 20, 30 years. You know, they've become part of the family, not just a pet. You know, so we have humanized them in many ways. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So Pam, tell us a little bit about any experiences that you've had with inappropriate elimination, any of your cats.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. Many years ago, when I was living in my other home, still married at the time, Snow Bear started marking, and it was because of bullying. And I didn't have the tools that I have today. And it was because he was, the twins would team up and, you know, stalk him or whatever. He was weaker. He was not as healthy. So I think he became an easy target for them. And there was something about turning age 6. It was like a flip of the switch. And all of a sudden it was like they had him in their bullseye all the time. It was really frustrating. Fast forward now, I was telling Julianne the other day, it's really a modern day ghost story that I deal with. And it's so funny because funny, but not funny. I've had several clients recently have the same problem, and it's a ghost story. Their cats in spirit or other entities, not necessarily bad entities, are visiting their home. And the cats see this, they sense that energy. We're oblivious, and they're fearful, and they're marking or they're pooping outside the box because they're afraid to go in certain areas, or they just need that comfort of their scent on things that, parents are like, please don't pee on the rug again, and outside the box. And they're frustrated because they don't know what's going on until they come to me. Unfortunately, as Julianne and I have talked a lot of times, we're able to see what people can't see with all the energy work and stuff that we're able to tap into. So I get cats in spirit. My cats in spirit are coming to me on a very regular basis. And, it's because they usually have a message or something they want to share with me, but I don't know that they're here until my cats are starting to freak out or not eat their food or whatever. Or Aylin decides to poop on a cat bed instead of in her litter box. That's like a big, somebody's bothering you again. It's because she's afraid. And so she goes into a very, this particular cat bed, it looks like a big pillow. And it happens to be the color baby blue, which is a very calming color. So that's where she will poop if she doesn't feel comfortable going into the litter box, which is literally in a hallway. But she senses that energy, and it's frightening for her. So yeah, it can be very frustrating. And then we have a feral cat that apparently likes to visit our backyard, and like Jay and Adrian have seen the markings on the side of the house or whatever. And Gunnar tells me, because he'll go out there and all of a sudden he starts wailing and if I was speaking cat language, it would be like, Mom, he's here again, and he's spraying on my house and my deck and my, that I can just hear that coming from him because he is not happy. And then he gets all pouty and comes inside. So yeah, I have to go out and clean and spray and put flower essences on him and clear his energy and all that because he's upset.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard. Jay, you look like you're gonna say something. Go on before I ask the next question.
Just for the audience, one thing that we had to get a new black light, right? But for anybody that doesn't know, if you are suspecting that your cat is spraying, or there is a cat spraying outside, or your cat is spraying in your house and you smell it, but you don't know how to find it, black lights are a great way to do that. And that's how we found out. We waited until the sun went down, and Adrian went around the yard just like with the black light, and that's lo and behold on our trees. There was a huge, like glowing spot, and we were like, oh,
really?
Yeah.
But it's lighting up.
It was totally lit up. She was like, look at this. And I was like, oh my God.
And I didn't smell it when I first got up to it, but then I took the hose and I was hosing it out, and it was like, wow, like a unfixed male cat kind of thing. But I just wanted to piggyback on the whole, like, not humanizing our cats. I think it's so important. We know how frustrating it is that there's a mess somewhere, especially if you have this going on. It's like you think you smell cat pee all the time, right? And you're extra on edge with your cats, which does not help their stress because they are trying to comfort themselves in some way by doing this. And while I do understand that if Jay pooped in my shoes, that's an asshole thing to do, I can't respond to our cats that way, right? It's just not, it's
right, that's straight.
Humans are far less pure than our cats' ability. They do everything out of instinct and everything out of a sense of security. So it's really important to understand that when you're dealing with this and you've eliminated health issues.
Yeah. And it's also, it's the number one reason these type of behavioral issues going outside the box is the number one reason why cats are brought back to the shelters, and thus the number one reason why they're euthanized. So it's really important that we understand it from their perspective, and what they're not trying to do something out of spite, that they're not trying to do something to to make us upset or like a FU type of situation. They are, they're doing it to bring themselves comfort because of a stressful situation of whatever that is. Rita and Linda from Cat Behavior Alliance told us a story about a cat that a client that they had, where every time he went out of town, the cat would poop on his pillow in his bed. And they were, the owners were like, we're going to have to surrender. I'm like, I can't, I can't continue to clean up poop from my pillow on my bed. And she explained how it's because the cat loves you so much. Like, it is not because they're doing this out of spite. They literally love you so much that they want to mesh their smells with you, which is going to be strongest on your pillow where you sleep at night, right? They want to mesh their smells to make them feel more comforted while you're away. And of course, that changes the whole perspective, right? For us as cat parents who do love our cats, regardless of the crazy things that they shit on.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. We need to be aware that they are doing this because they're trying to find comfort. It is an emotional reaction. Most of the time it's stress, but in whatever form that stress takes, stress is such a broad umbrella. It could be abandonment, it could be loneliness, it could be fear. There are so many emotions that go under stress, and we've got to be careful or aware that we use that word to cover a lot of emotions. But like you said, doing it on the bed, I have a lot of clients come to me for that. I'm like, that's because that's where your scent is the most concentrated. That is where they feel the safest. They're not doing it just to tick you off. That's not the way they work, And I just want to talk a little bit about talk a little bit about cats that do it when it's not behavior, like an emotional reaction. So I experienced this with Pickle. My experience of inappropriate elimination it's been very different. It's never been because of another cat. It's been because of her health issue. So she didn't have a UTI, urinary tract infection. She didn't have cystitis or anything like that. She was old. She was elderly, and what happened was she kept missing the tray. So we got a bigger and bigger and a bigger litter tray. We ended up with a puppy tray that was 1 meter by 1 meter. It's absolutely massive. Yeah. And mats all the way around the outside. I could probably fit half my body in this tray, and she still weed outside because she would put her front 2 feet in the litter tray and her back end would be over the edge because she couldn't crookie down, and I didn't realize this for a while until we actually saw her, not using the tray. We just thought she wasn't kind of getting in. It was shallow. And then she evolved, and then she would wee where she was on the sofa, and it broke my heart. But I still didn't understand back then, this was only a few years ago, that she was doing it because she couldn't move. Her hips, maybe they'd locked, maybe they were sore, maybe she was too stiff. But we would come home and we would find that she'd weed on the sofa. She'd be sat on the sofa, so we'd have to clean her up. And then we'd play this game called Hunt the Nugget, which was, where's the poo today?
Hunt the nugget.
Hunt the nugget. Yeah, hunt the nugget. It was a frequent game in our house. Yeah. Hunt the nugget. And it was heartbreaking, and I think I didn't realize then how much more compassion I could have shown her. There were times when I got it and other times when I was just so frustrated because I've got to wash these mats again and again. This is the 3rd time today, so I want to talk a little bit about when we're dealing with this, what do we do? So I'm going to go around you all again, and I would really love to hear one thing that you've tried with your cat that has helped and one thing that you've done for yourself that has helped, because I think we do need to be aware of not just our energy but our emotions in all of this. And like Katie said, not the best reaction to shout at the cats. I've done it, because my humanness just bubbles over and my frustration comes out of me. So let's start with Jane Adrienne. So tell me one thing that you've tried with your cats. I know it's not the one thing that fixes it, but one thing that you've tried for them and one thing that you've tried for you. Go to Jay first.
Well, I'll say that to your point, as far as older cats that are, starting to break down, now we know that there's so many things that we can do to help their joint health, right? There are so many safe ways, supplements, diet, things like that we can do to help their joint health so that they can better get into those litter boxes. But when we learned this, our oldest wasn't going outside the box, but he was sometimes falling in the box. So we lowered that threshold, right? So we build our own boxes. The entrance, we build our own boxes for our litter boxes, and they're also massive. We use big storage totes, but we lowered those entrances so that there's not a jump type of situation, which a lot of people, it's a very simple solution for many cats, because a lot of cats that are older, they want to go in the box. They would prefer to go in the box. They just don't want to have to jump to get in it. So lowering the threshold and walking in to where they can easily get into the box is one thing that we do.
I think as far as something that we've done, I think that we both actually paid far more attention to our energy. If if we're having a very stressful day, just step outside, just get away, just go and take a breather. I think the play sessions have been great with the babies as well. But I'm just going to kind of use this because I think it's a big one. Obviously, when we've tried convivial spray, I think that's helpful from cat very, the cat calm, everything, and that you can see that making a difference. But litter is such a resource for our kitties. So especially in multi-cat households, if you notice litter guarding, if you notice things like that, add an extra box in another area, which is something that we've also done.
With Pooh Bear, that's what we used to always have to do is whenever he would have like those moments, we would just go get him a new box, put in the new litter and bring it to him, literally bring it wherever he's at. And we're like, look, we got you a new box. And he would go in and use it. Like, even if it was just like a little bit, like he didn't really have to pee. He's just like, I'm going to mark this box. And then the issue would stop. And we did that, I think 2 or 3 times when back in the day when he was,
so we did not follow instructions. We just mentioned like 7 things, but
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Dr. Katie.
I think it is hard to stick with like one thing though. With like our current cats, knock on wood, we haven't had an issue, but the litter boxing, we had to make our own litter tray for Moki, who has cerebellar hypoplasia. There's no way that cat's getting in. If he has to jump in, it's going to be chaos. And so, I think that's really important too, is getting creative with some of this stuff and making sure you don't have to buy the litter boxes that are out there. However, I think too, there's so many neat ways that we can help our cats with stress. Like one of the things, especially after meeting Julianne, your herb gardens, those are amazing. And especially in a multi-cat household, being able to put that down, they don't always, self-select it, which I think some people get frustrated with, but I know that having it down for them to be able to choose to go to it is really helpful. And I just love watching them do that. I'm going to put one other thing down too, because I shared a video or a picture of Tico and the ripple rug the other day with these beautiful ladies. We've got 2 ripple rugs. Moki's in one behind me, and then we have another one downstairs. And it's just like the neatest little environmental enrichment to help keep their stress levels down and to engage. So, it doesn't always have to be a supplement that you have to put in to their mouth or create more stress around like the feeding plan and things like that. But just getting creative with some of these really neat resources that are out there now for our cats can make a huge difference to their overall quality of life. And I think the big thing for us, and this is something where I also have like guilt around how we handled, Callie's inappropriate urination. I was really stressed. I hated my vet job. And, it's a big reason why we moved up here. And that played a part. And I think the biggest, easiest thing, I love how Adrienne, you said, you just go outside, but taking a deep breath, deep breathing and grounding yourself is so important, because knowing that he's sitting there watching me. And if I'm getting upset working, I have a bed on my desk that you can't even see that Kiwi sits in. And if I'm not managing my stress, my energy appropriately, then they're going to be absorbing it also. And that's typically when I see more of redirected aggression, especially with Tico and Kiwi. And so I need to be more aware of my emotions and taking deep breaths, and also just taking time out each day, even if it's 5-10 minutes, to do a short meditation. And that can make a huge difference for especially with the way the world is right now. But I think just becoming more aware of ourselves and grounding ourselves in deep breathing, or removing yourself and taking a deep breath outside to help ground yourself better is huge. Can make a huge difference for calming down that stress response that we can feel when this is occurring.
Definitely. Beautiful. Brilliant, Katie. Pam, what are your thoughts?
Well, a couple things come to mind. Fortunately, my cats are pretty easygoing, and once I do energy clearing work for whatever is bothering them, they're pretty good. They're great. I mean, I don't have any issues. They start to use the litter box again. And Aylin doesn't pee outside the box. She just tries to go poop somewhere else. So identifying that, it's just like it's like her waving the flag going, Mom, he's back. Come fix it. And so I go fix it. That usually works really well. Years ago, when the cats were having all the issues in the house, they were standing up peeing. And so we ended up getting the high-sided litter boxes, and those have been a lifesaver, because let's face it, some cats just don't want to squat, so they don't make litter boxes that really fit all cats. You have to go look at how they prefer to do their business, and you have to go find something accordingly. So I tell people, look at how they prefer to do their business and get them a high-sided litter box, because it really does help. And then the other thing is try different litters. So if you've come to like a decision that you need to change your litter for some reason, and then all of a sudden you start having problems, it's probably because you changed their litter. So you've got to go take a step back and look at things from their perspective. What changed? Is there, like you said, the energetics of the home can change, life changes can happen, and then all of a sudden their behavior starts changing. So you have to step back and just kind of put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and just be a detective and look at the progression of things, when it started, how long it's been going on, and were there triggers, were there signs that maybe you missed? Because a lot of times they're trying to tell us, but we're just not paying attention. So sitting down and just, putting your judgment aside for a second and just look at it objectively from their perspective, instead of reacting like like our humanness wants to, of course. You just have to look at it from their perspective and think like a cat. Does this new litter, does it smell funny? Is it the texture? It hurts my feet. How do they respond to where their litter box is located? Sometimes people put litter boxes where it's convenient for them, but not necessarily where it's best for the cat. So you have to think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I am so glad you said that. Oh, go on, Jay.
Well, I want to say also the cleanliness of the box itself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be very honest. Back in the day, we had 4 cats, 2 litter boxes, clay litter, and we only scooped once a week. Like, right?
Right. Thank you.
Right. I mean, so no judgment here to anyone, right? In there, but we have to. Cats are very clean animals, and they want their litter box scooped, right? Like they want it to. However, we learned from Jackson Galaxy that sometimes you can clean it too much. If you use like toxic chemicals like bleach or whatnot, when you clean out the boxes, sometimes the cats are like, that's not mine, my scent isn't in there, and they don't feel comfortable any longer. So you want to clean, but you want to clean it with, with non-chemicals, like we use vinegar and water.
Right.
But I'm sure there's other cleaners out there. You ladies probably know of some. But we don't want to clean it too much, but we want to make sure that it is scooped and they're not trying to poop in an already pooped pot, right?
I think that's really important, is the smells too. So the cleaning products are huge. This is a huge issue with so many clients. I see it every single day, where we're just sterilizing the home and we're using really strong chemicals, and our pets have a really strong sense of smell. And so if you're using exactly like we're wiping away their scent, but also too, we're making this box, like this enclosed box, smell really strong, of course, they're not going to want to go back in it. So I think being aware of, the scented litter, I think someone posted, and of course, like those are not my go-tos. They are not good for them health-wise. They're bad for us. They're also going to make it more likely that something like this will happen at some point in the future. So this is a great place to be able to assess, like, what are the cleaning products I'm using in my home and why, and how can we get more natural in terms of reducing the amount of chemicals, because the chemicals are creating a lot of health issues that I am seeing, that we're all seeing with like cats and dogs every single day, and it's not helping us either. So I think this is a great reminder to just like assess the situation, and as you are using a cleaner, turn it around and read the label, because it can impact a lot of different areas of health for our cats.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, if you've got a stinky litter box, you need to look at nutrition, because what's crappy that goes in, crappy comes out, so like it is looking at what the nutrition and the diet is, and obviously there is the hygienic side of it as well, and like you said, to keep it clean but not too clean. I like that. Next time I do this, you're totally doing that.
We all went around the horn and shared 1 to 17 things that we've tried for ourselves. But I'm curious what your experience as well, something that you've tried and something for your cats and for yourself too.
So the other day, before a big change in our home, the night before, Leo weed on a mat, and I would have never experienced that from him. So my first go-to for both of us was, we need to have a sit down. Sounds really dramatic, but I was like, buddy, like, what's going on? And I didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't use my kind of woo-woo skills. I just sat with him as a cat mum, and I talked to him, and I put my hand on him. And as I was talking, I was feeling his heart rate, read his body language, which everybody can do. Everybody can do that. And I was just like, but I know there's big changes. I know that the house feels different. It'll be better in 24 hours. I'm not angry with you. And I talked to him. For me, it is simple, like Katie with the breath, it is that simple, just talking and saying like, bud, I hear you. I know you're stressed. Thank you for telling me that. I see you, and I'm going to do my best to support you through this. We've got your litter trays if you need them. We've got one covered and one uncovered, because Max likes to go in a covered and Leo usually prefers an uncovered. We don't have a third one. We've only got 2. They go out a lot of the time anyway. So we've got the 2 in the house. And for me, it was really learning, because I was just like Katie. I carry still to this day guilt about Pickle, about one day when I shouted at her for weeing, and I've got to do a lot of self-forgiveness work on it, because it was, it wasn't my finest moment, but in that moment, that's where I went to. So with Leo, I was like, right, going to approach this differently, people, and I was like, bud, I can wash it, I can wipe it, I can clean it up. It's, in my world, it's not a big deal, but for you, it obviously is. What can I do for you? How can I be there for you? Because I think it's really easy to get stuck in how I think I want things to be. Like Pam mentioned, where people have the litter trays, some people have them where it's convenient for them, and that's not always the best place for it to be. I don't want one in my hallway. We've got one right as you come in the front door on the left-hand side where all the shoe rack is. So my behaviorist head says you shouldn't have it in a heavy foot traffic area of the home, right? So we used to have it in a downstairs spare room, but because we've got to shut that room because it's got the cat flap, I've got to move the tray out. So in theory, the boys shouldn't use it yet. The boys are both using it. I'm like, isn't that fascinating? Yeah. But I would love to put them both in the dining room. But in the dining room, we've got a cat tree in one corner and a litter tray in the other. So I can't have it in there because I don't want to have them in the same place. So it's like my sister said to me today, she got litter in her shoe. She left my house. And she was like, why is there a litter tray here? I was like, because that's where my boys need it. And that was it. I was like,
Here's an idea. You can just take the shoe off and go like this.
Yeah.
And you can put it back on. That's what I would have said. And I probably would have been smacked.
It's not difficult, but it is actually, I mean, for some of us, like me personally, it took a big swallowing of like ego to allow us to
preferences.
to allow us to have a big litter box where, we, entertain guests, and it's right there, in the middle of the living room. And it's like, I don't really like that. That's not something that I want. But, another reason that we have, when you have an older cat, they might not be able to make it all the way up the stairs or all the way down the stairs. And we need to be able to, or a stressed out cat, right? We need to have the litter boxes, their resource, in places where they can easily use it to help prevent, inappropriate elimination.
Yeah, absolutely. And at least it's not a human toilet in the middle of the front room, right? But if you go to someone's house and there's an old person and they've got like a commode there, like, as long as you don't watch them on there, you don't comment. It's just like, they're old. That's what they need. We accept it for humans. So why not for animals? Why not for animals? Like, we're trying to support animals as best we can. What's wrong with that?
Yep. And they're family members. We have
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what?
I was going to add one more thing.
Yeah.
I think this affected us many years ago when we had bullying situations. We had to make sure, and it's something that I learned, I just thought I would share. If you have a home where there's some bullying issues going on that you're in the process of trying to work out, just make sure wherever you have the litter boxes that there's a clear path of escape and they don't get cornered in a certain area, because that could be very, very scary for the one being bullied.
Absolutely.
So,
I know you've got one more question, but I was going to say, when you said put on your Sherlock Holmes hat, I just want to say again, I think it's easy for us to be like, oh, what's going on? I can't figure it out. But they are our family members. We have 6 individuals in our home that are going through different things. And I really want to say, we had a situation where we were sharing with a friend of mine who's not in the industry at all, something that was going on. We're like, I'm not really sure how to deal with it. And she just immediately, because she's outside the box, was like, oh, you would want to do A, B, and C. And we were like, what? Sometimes you're too close to the situation. So I want to reiterate the resources that we have available, because as we're going through this, like currently, as we're going through this, Pam, Marcel, you have been so helpful helping us figure out the dynamics between our girl cats right now. What you just said about resource guarding, the litter box issue. I've added a litter box outside of that path because I've seen them sit on the chair and wait for one to finish. It's like, no, we need to fix that. You're helping us through that bullying thing. Cat Behavior Alliance was amazing when we got back from CatCon, we noticed that there were, not only did they help us with the outdoor cat, identifying it, finding the spray, but we noticed that there were spots around the house that had been marked that had not been cleaned since we were gone. And we were like, oh, and they said, and then we were noticing Twist is peeing places now, and Friday is definitely going everywhere. And we don't know who else is doing this. And they said, well, sometimes when that scent is allowed to stay, when we don't catch it, then it will have that kind of domino effect of, well, I'm going to need to mark my territory too. I'm going to need to cure. So being able to find those things, get a black light, people. If you notice something, fix it. Just put your Sherlock Holmes on as soon as possible. And then with Karen Dundee Smith, animal communicator, helping us really address our energy in this. So I think it is so multifaceted that when we put on the Sherlock Holmes and are really trying to look at things from our cat's perspective, sometimes if we can't really identify it initially, let's utilize our resources out there, because they are able to see from outside the box better in a way what's going on sometimes.
I think one of the things too with the black light, because that's how I knew my house was like destroyed years ago. And I was like, this is great. But keep in mind too, when you're looking with the black light, because of the way like it degrades like the proteins that are naturally in the urine, when you have a fresh, like someone's just sprayed or done something and it's fresh, it usually shows up more like bright yellow, orangey. And then over time, it actually degrades to more of a white color. So this could be a good way to find out, okay, is this like a newer marking? Is this older? And also, as you're like cleaning the product too, you can get a better idea of like, how long has this been here and have I cleaned it up appropriately? So that's another way to use that black light to get a better idea of like, how long has this truly been going on? Obviously, there's a little bit of subjective stuff with that, but that's just something to be aware of. It can look different with a black light.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Katie, I was just going to ask you a quick question about nutrition and sort of prescription diets. So one of the things that I know people have come to me with, and I doubt, Jen, Adrienne, you've gone down this route when you've started your recent problems, but when cats are constantly, you know, having some form of urinary issues, they go to the vets, and if behavior support isn't recommended, they generally recommend a prescription diet. So I appreciate we're getting towards the end, but could you just speak a little about that, and if it's supportive, and if not, what people could do with, you know, perhaps anything to do with diet?
Yeah, your prescription diets are all rubbish. That's just a good general blanket statement to start with. And, you know, unfortunately, I hate prescription diets, especially for cats. And if your vet is giving you a dry food prescription diet, you need to not buy it, for one. Do not waste your money on that garbage. It's full of carbs. Cats are obligate carnivores. They have no need for carbohydrates. It's going to cause protein deficiency over time. It's going to cause harm down the road. It's going to dehydrate them. That's the piece about dry food. Even the prescription canned food versions are made from really low quality proteins. Dead, disease, dying meat is what's used, roadkill, chemicals, and even your canned food too can have a lot of chemicals from the processing, heavy metals, things like that. You are much better off buying a non-prescription wet food than you are wasting your money on a prescription brand. And so we did, Jay and Adrienne, a while ago, we did a talk on prescription urinary food. Was it on where we talked about prescription diets? Mm-hmm. So highly recommend taking a look at that, where we talked about the different types of ingredients. They're just bad, to be honest, and they are the most expensive pet food out there. And prescription diets themselves are a hoax anyways. On the human side, you can't write a prescription for food. It's not allowed. And so it's a way for veterinarians to make money, and cats won't eat it. That's the other thing. Like that, especially like kidney diets. I mean, it tastes like cardboard. I mean, I don't even want to try it because the stuff that's in it is really toxic. However, cats don't eat it. It's like the number one thing that it's just, there's much better ways to approach diet. We need a wet food diet, whether that's a canned food. Ideally, a raw food diet is the most species appropriate diet for our cats. They need protein. They need like 80 to 90% protein. That's their physiology. And so there's a huge thing. I'll probably get a lot of slack for saying that and being so against prescription diets. But there's a lot of studies out there now that show these do not help our cats.
We support you, Katie.
Yeah. I mean, I know you all agree. And there's so many other veterinarians that are speaking out against these types of diets. And all you have to do is take a look at the ingredient list and tell me if you would eat it yourself.
Yeah.
That's all can you read the ingredient list? And the reason why there has to be so many synthetic vitamins and minerals is because of the poor quality meat, and they don't use organ meat.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. And so if you have a cat that you're trying to transition their diet, yes, it can be hard. I know everyone here has resources for transitioning. We did our last roundtable discussion on transitioning your cats to a better, more species appropriate diet. That's number one. Food is foundation. It will support the gut microbiome. That will also help with the stress levels, because there is a correlation when the gut health is off that directly impacts the brain. Food is number one, and it's not always the easiest to change with our cats, but that would 100% be a focus, getting the moisture into our cats' diets. And I would not waste a single cent on a prescription diet.
Mic drop.
Thank you, Dr. Katie.
Exactly what I wanted to hear. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And when Dr. Katie goes missing later on.
Don't say that.
Don't manifest that.
We'll be like, Mars must have bought her.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Where is Lady Katie?
I have a question for you guys. I know a lot of people use the enzyme cleaners. Do you guys have a favorite type of enzyme cleaner? And a lot of people have said, oh, I've tried it, they don't work. I think there's a specific way to use them. People probably don't leave them on too long, on long enough, or what are your thoughts on that?
Jane, Adrienne, go to you.
Yeah, so we recently learned of one that we haven't tried yet by Dr. Jean Hovey. She has one that she loves, and of course we want to go as natural as possible with these enzymatic cleaners. We use anti-icky poo. which is recommended by a few different behaviorists that we've worked with. But what's interesting is the Nature's Miracle. I'm not trying to shout anything out, but Nature's Miracle, we used to have it. I don't know if we ever used it. We probably did at some point, but we never read the ingredients in it. And the ladies from Cat Behavior Alliance were telling us about reading the ingredients. They were like, it is so toxic. Like, you don't, like, never use that. And I was like, they're not even in nutrition and like health, right? They're just in behavior. And I was like, wow, that's very interesting. So reading the ingredients and knowing what's in the enzymatic cleaner that you use is important.
And to Pam's point, there are instructions. I think, we think, oh, it's a cleaner, so we just spray it on and whatever. But there are different surfaces have different ways that you clean them. So really important just to read the directions and yes, read the ingredients. We still haven't read Nature's Miracles ingredients, but very excited to look into Dr. Jean Hovey's. I mean, really a big fan of hers, and I feel like that's exciting that there are, cat specific enzymatic cleaners out there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Pam, do you have one?
I think the one I have is some sort of an oxy something. I can't remember the name of it, but it seems, it just, fortunately for me, I just have to use it on poop marks and vomit. And that's it.
Yeah.
So, but it works. It seems to work. And I did spray it outside on the little feral cat marking on my house.
I thought you were going to say the feral cat, then I was about to say, Pam, wrong kind of show. Wrong kind of show.
Right?
No,
how not to deal with stray cats. Okay.
Just a funny note. Casey. It was not funny at the time, but laugh now. Our house in New Zealand, so it had like a crawl space underneath it. And we used to get these stray cats that would go underneath the middle of the house and just caterwaul all night long. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then of course our cats were outdoors, and then they'd start fighting, and then Ryan would have to get up and like get them out and like I would do things so differently now if we lived there. It's like crazy, but it was just like, thinking back, I'm like, wow, I'm surprised we didn't have more issues, looking at some of these crazy things that happened. And, like we all deal with this too. And I think it's important also for everyone listening, like, we're all on a journey and we're all at different places in our journey. And it's so important to give yourself grace and like continue to learn. And, 10 years from now, I'll look back at this day and go, wow, I wish I'd known all this, I would have done things so differently. But it's really important, like, people here taking time to learn and just show up like, oh my gosh, like, you are why we all do what we do. And it's really important to just remind yourself, like, we're all learning and we're all doing the best that we can with the information we have at this time.
Yep, absolutely. You said that the last point, we're all doing the best that we can with the information that we have. I think that is such a poignant note for people to take away from today. We're all doing the best we can with what we've got in this moment. You don't know what you don't know. If you've not experienced something, you're going to be new to it. You're going to find your way through it. Your cats will lead you. And Pam and I know, and I know that you three ladies in the bottom of my screen know, our cats teach us if we take the time to learn, if we take the time to connect with them and go on the journey with them. So just before we wrap up, because being the host, like, I'm a bit of a stickler for time, and also like I could talk with you all for probably another hour. So we're going to do one last round with everybody, and let me think what a good question would be. Okay, so Jane Adrienne, you've got to answer it separately. What intention are you going to set for your cats as you move forward for the next week? Because you're right in the middle of like monitoring the days of, we've had no wheeze, and obviously you want no wheeze, but what are you going to do to give to be with your cats for the next couple of days following on from our live?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, actually, because we do this like phones down Sunday thing now, where we put our phones down, we don't get on the computers. It's really weird because we don't like know what the weather is going to be like, or, like who invented A, B, or C for an entire day. We have no idea, but it rejuvenates us. And at first a little cringy and scary. And then we relax and we read books, and we just like, rejuvenate. I don't know what the right word is, like, but we feel so much better to attack the week. And we usually give ourselves something that we can do during that week in order to be better people and better cat parents. And this week it was that we're going to take a walk every day. And I did mine this morning, and she's doing hers right after the round table. But it's, it's just like getting outside the house, because we work inside the house, we live inside the house, we do everything, right here. So our energy is just always right here. But to get out, to breathe, to, be grateful, those kind of things are what's changing this week.
Nice. Adrian, you too. You got to answer it too.
I was going to say, I think the intention that I want to set for all of our beautiful babies is peace. I mean, and joy. Like, I want to be able to give, we can't give what we don't have. And I think that, what Jay is saying, prioritizing, taking time to clear my head, like Dr. Katie was saying, let's meditate for 5 minutes or do whatever it is. It's going to help us center up so that we actually have something. So I want to give our babies more joy, more peace, and pay attention to when they want attention. I think that they all, they all come to you at some point, and they want some sort of engagement. And I think just being more attentive and being able to have some joy and peace to give them.
Yeah. Lovely. Oh, you two warm my heart so much. You put so many sparkles in my jar. I love that. Okay.
What's in my jar?
Katie.
I would say, like, the intention for this week, it's been a bit crazy, and I probably have not been this, if I'm being 100% transparent with everyone recently, but presence. So being more present every single day, because I know how much it can help me, and making sure, like, I'm sitting down, especially God bless my husband. He's what keeps me alive on the other side of this. And, being more present with him, but also being more present with each cat is really important too, because we're going into fall. Tico loves going outside. I have to be with him because I don't trust him to not do something silly and get injured or hurt without me watching him. But he gets more upset when he doesn't get outdoor time. So I need to be more present with him and, like, engage and play with him and make sure his needs are met as we're going through, the change in season here in Colorado. So presence is mine.
Lovely, beautiful, and big hearts to Ryan. Can we just say,
I don't know if he's listening right now, but God bless you, Ryan.
Lovely, thank you, Pam.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've really been trying to be more present as well with the cats, because there was a period of time where I was really working more than I should have and not engaging with them as much as they needed to. But recently, I was telling Julianne this, I am getting visitations literally almost every day from a cat in spirit. And they are here to tell me something. So I've been practicing sitting down and channeling their messages when they come. So if that's I just did one this afternoon before I hopped on, because it was important to Snow Bear that I paid attention and got whatever it is he wanted to share with me. So they're trying to help me grow spiritually. And so they will not leave until I sit down and listen to them. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Lovely.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Julianne?
I think I want to bring a sense of safety and peace to my boys. So we've had a bit of a change of home circumstance, and I know that they're both unsettled. Pam and I were talking at the weekend, and as much as in themselves, their behavior has changed from my perspective for the positive. So Max isn't clawing at the carpet. Leo's not being more aggressive than I've ever seen him be. They have changed, but I can tell that there is a sense of unease between the three of us. So I want to find my routine, help to reground them, and to help them to feel safe, so that they know that despite what changes have happened here, I'm not going anywhere, and they've got a safe, secure home, and, they can find a bit of peace with where we are. So I'm going to bring safety and peace to my boys this week. That's my plan.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. And we started at 1 minute past as well. So bang on time. Absolutely perfect. Okay. So let's just do a very quick round robin to see where people can find everybody. So obviously you're on Jay and Adrianne's page, so you know how to find the awesome two crazy cat ladies. Pam, do you want to quickly tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, I'm at purrrfectlyholistic.com. That's Purrrfectlyholistic.com. And then we have a shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channels. So reach out, email, go through the websites or whatever. Happy to help if I can.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Katie.
Yeah, you can all find me at thenaturalpetdoctor.com. We also have a YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channel. And we also do group programs that have some integrated care and personalized testing. So we'll be starting our November round for our Better Gut Health program. So if you have kitties that are having some troubles with gut health issues, definitely reach out and see if this might be a fit for what you're looking for.
Beautiful. And I love the fact that just as you finished, there was a gorgeous Halloween cat face back.
Yeah, there's two down there. They're blending in.
I love
that. It's the way you stretch in the shape
like,
of a Halloween cat.
Like, I agree.
Beautiful. And if anybody's interested, my name is Julianne Thorne and I am Naturally Cat. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the website is www.naturallycats.co.uk. I offer cat chakra cleanses, cat communication, and herbal help sessions. So if you need any help with your cats energetically or emotionally, let me know. And I will hand back to the two crazy cat ladies. Someone's just rang my doorbell. So
I heard that.
Did you?
Who's here that late? I think everybody's link to their websites are in the description here, so you guys can easily click in and get to that. And thank you, Bob, for sharing Julianne's link as
right
well
here
earlier in the comments. We will be live this evening for a Q&A Monday on TikTok at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time and Instagram at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So if you guys have any questions, you can always join us there. And we love you ladies so much, so much.
I just have to say, because I have all the butterflies and fairies all over you guys, I'm so grateful for each one of, I don't know, like happy things. I'm so grateful for each one of you beautiful women, for the passion that you're sharing with all of us, for everything, and for every single person that's joined us here today. I really feel like there's such power in learning and growing together, and it's changing cats' lives. And I think it's oh my God, I'm just grateful for it. So thank you guys all.
So thank you guys, and we will see you.
Thank you, everyone.
We love you guys.
Love you. Bye,
Hang on, I've got to go.
Run.